Excited to be back with you folks today. I think we're up on the YouTube now, if that's your thing. I think we are up on the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talks. You can go and go join us over there if you like to watch the program on YouTube. But we begin today, and I'll have some stories coming up at the 4 o'clock hour. Spencer Dupuis will join us in the 4 o'clock hour. My name's Dan Lucero. I don't even know if I introduced myself. We've been having a bit of a technical calamity here that I've been trying to handle. It's hard to put out a fire and host a radio show. But I'm Dan Lucero. I'm back in studio today after spending the last 2 days in Frisco, Texas. I've got some final thoughts from the event, from the Monster Energy Big 12 football media days coming up in just a little bit on the show. I do want to start, though, with the Royals, because we just finished bringing you Royals baseball here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Royals dropped the rubber game. Boy, how many times have we said that this year? Royals have had lots of opportunities to win series this season. They have just let go completely by the wayside, and today was another example of such. As after Tuesday night's completely ridiculous 16-12 win over the Mets, the Royals lost last night and then lost this afternoon 7-3. So another series lost for the Royals, who continue to have one of the worst records in baseball. And because they have one of the worst records in baseball and are firmly and irrevocably out of it as things go, it's very obvious what the path forward for the Royals and general manager J.J. Picollo must be at the upcoming trade deadline. They've got to sell. They are a clear-cut seller. There's no hemming and hawing to be done here. The thing for the Royals to do is sell. There's certainly no sense in them buying. There's nothing they can go get. The Royals are one of those teams. You make the old joke that the Royals are 2 players away from really turning things around. Unfortunately, those players are Shohei Ohtani and Babe Ruth. And one of them is not available in trade. The other is dead. So the Royals, two players away, and they can't get those 2 players. So they are a seller. But what good is a seller if you don't have anything that anybody wants to buy? And what good are you as a seller if the things that people might want to buy, you're not interested in selling? And that's always part of being a selling team in baseball, right? Like when you really think about it, like nobody's going to call on Bobby Witt Jr., right? Like that's obviously not going to happen. So there's no there's none of that. There's none of that happening. They're not going to trade Jack Caglione, right? They're not going to trade Carter Jensen. They're not going to trade those guys. That's quite obviously not happening. So where does that leave the Royals? Well, starting pitching is always in demand at the trade deadline. And Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo are veteran starting pitchers. They pitched in pennant races. They pitched in playoff games. They have extra years of team control, an extra contract season beyond 2026. That tends to be pretty appealing. And so the shopping list that anybody's going to show up at the Royals' front door is going to start with those 2 guys. But here's the problem, and we've talked about this as a problem earlier this week, some of last week. Royals can't really afford to trade those guys if they want to field a pitching staff in 2027. And it appears that they are aware of that. This from Ken Rosenthal in The Athletic today. The Royals here being referred to, they have no potential replacements for Lugo and Wacha. And with shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. and third baseman Michael Garcia signed long-term, they do not plan to rebuild. The Royals, according to people briefed on their plans, are telling clubs they will listen on Lugo and Wacha, but their asks will be massive. So there you go. If somebody's going to bowl them over, blow them away, if somebody is desperate to add Michael Wacha or Seth Lugo to their starting rotation, the Royals will take the phone call. But other than that, they almost have to keep Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo because, as we discussed, who else is going to start games in 2027 for the Kansas City Royals? Noah Cameron is under contract. Luinder Avila is under contract. Cole Reagans is battling back from a third Tommy John surgery. You shouldn't count on him at all. Any innings you get from Cole Reagans for the rest of his career, if we're being honest, are a bonus. And the quality of those innings, your guess is good as mine. Quantity is going to be the big surprise for a guy coming off of a third Tommy John. Ryan Bergert is coming off of Tommy John. Had it in the spring. When's he going to be available? Who knows? Stephen Kolek's under contract. All right, I just named 5 guys. Chris Bubic is going to be a free agent. Do you feel confident in anybody else? Is there anybody else at AAA or in the major leagues? You want to commit long-term to Randy Dobnak? He was all right last night. 5 2/3 scoreless. That was a nice little outing for the Dobber. But that's not a guy that you're going to commit to in the long haul. You don't have enough proven starting pitching, and you do not win in Major League Baseball without proven starting pitching. It's why the signings of Lugo and Wacha were such a big deal in the first place for the Royals when they made them going into that 2024 season, and they made that 30-win improvement and made the postseason. Because they had credible starting pitching. They went 1 through 4, and they went 1 through 4 healthy all year. That was huge. And 2 of those guys were in the top 5 in Cy Young voting. That was obviously pretty important too. But they went 1 through 4 that year with Reagans and Wacha and Lugo. And now I'm blanking on who the 4th guy was on that particular team. Alec Marsh, Michael Lorenzen was on that team. They got him at the trade deadline. Why am I blanking on the other guy? That's bad. Why? Oh, Brady Singer. Brady Singer was on the 2024 team. That's why. He hasn't been on the team for a couple of years. But anyway, you had that stability in the starting rotation, and that was sort of the foundation for that Royals team making the improvement that it made and making the playoffs. And the Royals right now are in a spot where they're going to need a similar jump in terms of wins to be back in the playoff conversation next season. And you don't accomplish that handing rotation spots to Luinder Avila, who's probably a reliever, or Steven Zobak, who's been rehabbing an injury for a year and a half, or Alec Marsh, who hasn't taken the mound in 2 years, right? Like, you can't do it. So the Royals really do, if they want to compete in 2027, and I am here to say that is the right thing. I know if this were out of the park baseball, you just, if it's a fantasy, if it's a video game, yeah, it's a lot easier to say, oh yeah, we're just going to trade everything that's not nailed down, and we won't worry about 2027. Bobby Witt Jr. prime year, you're just going to punt? Can't do it. You can't. Otherwise, what's the point of having a Bobby Witt Jr. in the first place? So I'm a big believer that the Royals do need to try to compete in 2026. And there doesn't seem to be a world where they can reasonably do that and not have Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo on the roster. And the side portion of this is, who the hell's going to trade you for Seth Lugo right now? Seth Lugo sitting with a 456 earned run average after his most recent dud of a start on Tuesday night. It's given up 10 hits per 9. Home run rate is spiking. Strikeout rate is plummeting. He hasn't been good for the last calendar year. What are you going to get from him anyway? If the acquiring team is going to have to pay him $20 million next year. Because, spoiler alert, Seth Lugo is going to opt into his player option next year. I'm just telling you, if there's a guy with an ERA of 4.5 and he's got the option to take $20 million or not, he's going to take that. I'm sorry, I was off. The $21.5 million, and then there's a team option for the year after that. So, who's trading you anything real valuable for Seth Lugo at this point? Michael Wacha could maybe fetch you something, but Michael Wacha still got it. He might be your opening day starter next year. Who else is it going to be? He might be your guy on opening day. It's a really, really bad spot the Royals are in, and we've talked about this. And there is only one way out for the Royals. And John Sherman may not want to hear it, but he's going to have to spend his way out of this one. He's going to have to do something that he's probably not comfortable doing. And the reason I know this, because no small to mid-market Major League Baseball owner is real comfortable spending big bucks. Because if you do it once, then that kind of becomes the expectation. So the owners in cities like Milwaukee or Kansas City or for a lot of years San Diego, and then their owners got real serious there for a while, and then he died, and now that's kind of in flux a little bit. Peter Seidler passed away, so who knows what that ownership group is going to look like moving forward. But like Colorado and trying to think of other, similar size markets to Kansas City. The idea is you're going to spend big. It better be on a really, really good team. That was the thing. When the Royals opened up the purse strings, it was in 2014 and 2015 when they won pennants and won a championship. And then they tried to spend a little more to keep that group together with arbitration salaries and Alex Gordon getting $75 million and Ian Kennedy getting, what'd he get? He gets 70, 80 million? My God, that happened. But that is not the preferred neutral for an owner of a baseball team in a market like Kansas City. You don't want to set the expectation that you're going to go up to the $200 million mark in payroll and then maybe you only win like 78 games, because that could happen. I mean, look at the Mets payroll. Look at the season they're having. Dollars spent do not mean they don't guarantee you that you are going to win baseball games. But the Royals are talent deficient, particularly when it comes to starting pitching. If they're going to be good next year, they need starting pitching. Starting pitching costs money. They're going to have to go out and sign a starter. I don't see a way around it. Might even need to sign two. Might even need a rerun of the 2023 into 2024 offseason when they signed Lugo and Wacha in the first place. John Sherman probably don't want to hear that. But that's the reality. They want to compete in 2027. Not only do they have to hold their water at the trade deadline, and in doing so, cost themselves an opportunity to improve a moribund farm system, improving but still moribund. They're going to have to go and loosen the purse strings this winter to rebuild that pitching staff. The offensive core is coming along nicely. Carter Jensen's still swinging the bat well. Obviously, Tyler Tolbert's the greatest hitter of all time. You got to find room in the lineup for him now, right? At least, like, right now, right this second. But, I mean, Witt and Garcia and Kaggs and Jensen, you're in a good spot on offense with those four guys as the core. You're up the middle core of your offense. Pitching's not good enough. Pitching costs money. Pony up, John. Otherwise, next year's going to look a hell of a lot familiar because it's going to look a hell of a lot like this. We'll take a time out here at 580 Sports Talk. Want to hear from you. 785-272-9429 is the number. You can also get at us on YouTube. We are up and streaming on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. We apologize about the early technical difficulties and misdirection there. Coming back, we've got your reaction to the Royals game. Anything else that you would like to talk about on this Thursday? Rick Peterson of TopSports.News joins us at the bottom of this hour. And then we've got a whole bunch of guests the rest of the way. Again, Gene Taylor, Director of Athletics at Kansas State, top of the 4 o'clock hour. Blake Herold, Junior Defensive Tackle, University of Kansas, bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Brian Dubiski, Chairman and CEO of the Union Jack Classic, coming up at about 5:25 or so. Plus headlines, what is wrong with you and your interaction. We are just getting started on this Thursday edition of 580 Sports Talk. .332 on 580 Sports Talk. We are just getting underway on this Thursday. Dan Lucero with you. Back in the studio after spending the last couple of days in Frisco, Texas at Monster Energy Big 12 Media Days. I got back to town just after 11 p.m. last night. It's not bad, not terrible. Long drive, about 7 hours, including stops, but worth it to be down there. We had a good time out there in Frisco. Busy day yesterday, all kinds of interviews. Hope you enjoyed the interviews we did yesterday. In case you missed them, they're on our podcast page, 580WIBW.com. They're on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. We had Avery Johnson, Kansas State quarterback, yesterday. We had Leroy Harris live, the leading sack man for the Kansas defense last year, the junior defensive end. And, of course, my conversations with both head coaches, Colin Klein and Lance Leipold, were on yesterday's show. So if you missed any of those, again, go back into the archives, our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, our podcast, 580WIBW.com, 580 Sports Talk on Spotify. Lots of different ways you can relive the interviews from Big 12 Media Days yesterday. We got some more interviews coming up a little bit later on today. Like I said, Gene Taylor, Kansas State Athletic Director, might sit down with him. We're going to play that in the 4 o'clock hour. Bottom of the 4 o'clock hour, Blake Herold, Kansas defensive tackle, will be my guest. And in the 5 o'clock hour, about 5:25, Brian Dubiski, the chairman and CEO of the Union Jack Classic. Thought it was an interesting conversation about how the Union Jack Classic came to be and why Kansas in that game. If you've been wondering, you'll get an answer from Brian Dubiski later on. That will still leave us all kinds of interviews. I can tease that tomorrow on the show, we're going to bring you the more local kids, Kansas kids, if you will. Tomorrow on the show, tune in. You'll hear my chat with Calvin Clements, the left tackle for the Kansas Jayhawks, former Free State Firebird, and K-State safety Wesley Fair, former Wichita Collegiate standout. We'll play both of those interviews for you on tomorrow's edition of 580 Sports Talk. Royals lost today. It's good to see everybody back in the live chat on YouTube today. Again, apologize. We had some technical difficulties there early on. We're on take 2 on the stream today, but we're up and running now, and we're easy to find. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Christopher in the live chat spares nothing when it comes to the Royals pitching. The sickening stench that abounds is easily traced to the mounds where KC pitching has appeared. Look closely and see it smeared. The fans are making retching sounds. The cadence of that limerick is a little clunky, but the message is crystal clear, Christopher. Well done. Well done today on the live chat. On the text line from the 785 says, quick, Royals cash in on Tyler Tolbert while he's hot. Too late. Hey, he had a hit today. Another infield hit. We didn't get to devote the time that it probably deserved on the show to Tyler Tolbert getting hits in a major league record 12 consecutive at-bats, and the last 3 of them being the chintziest hits you've ever seen in your life. The 12th one was literally a check swing. Just one of the funniest things. Like, you will more than likely want to forget this 2026 Kansas City Royals season as soon as it is done. But much like 2021, also a terrible Royals season, but if I say 2021 Royals, what do you think about? Salvador Perez, 48 home runs. Much like there were some other, terrible, what was 2001, Mike Sweeney had the monster year. or what year was it when that outfield debuted with Damon, Dye, and Beltran? Like, you remember little things, little snippets, even of the lousiest years. 2026 Royals will be thinking of two things. One, hopefully, Bobby Witt Jr. MVP. But also, hey, remember Tyler Tolbert got hits in 12 consecutive at-bats? He's still hot. He got a hit today. I'd take a call. Somebody wants to offer the Royals anything for the red-hot Tyler Tolbert? Yeah, sell high there. That is the darndest thing. And I've been following baseball a long time. That is about the darndest thing I've ever heard of. I was following that. I was at the Rangers game that night down there in I drove to Arlington, not close to Frisco. I don't know if you believe it. But I drove down to Arlington to see the Rangers Angels game that night. And I'm following the Royals game along on my phone. People, Tyler Tolbert's 11 for his left. No, he's not. Stop lying. That's fake. That's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in baseball, Tyler Tolbert. Salute to him. I've been hard on him on this program. You guys who listen on a daily basis, you know I've been hard on Tyler Tolbert. I've been harsh, perhaps, on Tyler Tolbert. Undeniably cool thing to happen for a guy who is quite clearly really well-liked in the organization and in that clubhouse. That's a cool deal. That's a cool deal for Tyler Tolbert. And long may his hot streak continue. We'll take a time out here at 580 Sports Talk. When we return, we got Rick Peterson at TopSports.News for this week's Local Sports Spotlight. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by the great Rick Peterson of TopSports.News, where he covers all things Shawnee County High School sports and the Washburn Ichabods. Again, the name of the website, TopSports.News, and the name of this segment is the Local Sports Spotlight. And Pistol joins us now. Rick, it's good to talk to you. Let's start with the Athletes of the Year. The TopSports.News Washburn University Athletes of the Year have been named. We're going to start on the boys' side, the men's side of things, and I got to think that Jack Batchelor was the choice that pretty quickly rose to the top of that list as Jack Batchelor was named the TopSports.News Washburn Male Athlete of the Year.
Yeah, you know, with him, it's the overall body of work. I mean, 3 years at the same school, going into his fourth, and just a great body of work, all regional, all MIAA the last 2 years. The record is just ungodly, like 60-some and 4 or something. So, you know, just he was good. Justin Ford was one I also looked at, a national champion in track and field. But like I said, just overall, I thought Jack deserved it.
And The Jack Bachelor story is such a cool one, too, because I don't think that the average observer would have expected this kind of impact, this kind of college career for Jack Bachelor. He's just willed himself to being maybe the best point guard in all of Division II basketball, and has maybe an opportunity or some opportunities to go somewhere else and play, maybe go to the Division I level and play, but he stayed true to Washburn Blue, as obviously has family connections to the university. He's just one of my favorite stories, and I think he's going to go down in Washburn history, not just for the stats and whatever records he puts in the Washburn basketball record books, but for being a great winner, a great competitor, and just a great story, a great Ichabod.
Yeah, and the thing is, when his going into his freshman year, he and I talked about it, and Coach Ballard and I talked about it. There was thought that he would redshirt, and his first year, and he got there, and you put it perfectly. He just willed himself to be on the court and to be a major factor right off the bat, and it's just continued to get better.
Rick Peterson of TopSports.News joining us here on 580 Sports Talk for the local sports spotlight. We do it every Thursday on the program at this time. There was a tie. There were co-women's athletes of the year for Washburn Athletics from the TopSports.News Women's Athletes of the Year. Austin Brody and Belle Kennedy, All-Americans in volleyball and soccer, respectively, and just really, really hard to separate the two for the impact on their teams and for the seasons that their respective teams had.
I don't like to do that. I don't like to do co's, but I also would rather hate to leave somebody out deserving. So when there's two that are that even, both first-team All-Americans, both led teams to the NCAA tournament, soccer went to the semifinals, volleyball went to the second round, Bell was the MIAA Defensive Player of the Year, Austin Brody was the MIAA Player of the Year. So, like I said, I will do it if I think it needs to be done, and in this case, I thought it needed to be done.
Belle Kennedy, another like Jack Bachelor, former Washburn Rural standout in her sport, she leaves that soccer program as arguably as transformative a player as that program has ever had. 3-time first-team All-MIAA. She was the MIAA Defensive Player of the Year as a senior, helped them again to a couple of deep NCAA tournament runs. That program is in a different spot than it was when she got there. And there are very few players or senior classes really in the history of any program that you can point to and say that was the group that changed everything about the perception, about the belief in what that program could do. And Belle Kennedy, certainly one of those players for Washburn soccer.
Yeah, and one that, even though she wasn't a big goal scorer, like you said, she was a defensive player of the year, but she set the tone. She set the tone. If somebody on the other team needed to be taken down a notch or two, she was the one to do that. She didn't mind getting a foul or 10 or 12, and she would set the stage for what needed to be set.
We're talking with Rick Peterson of TopSports.News. This is the local sports spotlight on 580 Sports Talk. Pistol joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Washburn baseball will be looking for a new head coach after Harley Douglas stepped down after 12 seasons as the Ichabod's dugout boss. Went 305 and 272 as their head coach and led them to a NCAA tournament appearance, a regional appearance in 2022. Did this announcement, Douglas stepping down, maybe catch you a little bit off guard, or was this something that you could sense maybe was coming for the best, for the better of Douglas, maybe just deciding now was the time?
Well, it did surprise me, and timing surprised me. I know, and I would talk to Harley probably every week, and I knew he was frustrated by this year, and I know the team was frustrated by this year, but that also followed up 4 straight winning seasons, including an NCAA berth. So it did surprise me, particularly the longer it went. if he had done it the day after the season, I might maybe not wouldn't have been as surprised. But I think the more he thought about it, like he said, he's got grandbabies and he's got and things he wants to do as a parent and a husband. So if that's the way he feels, good, and hopefully they can get somebody that can step right in and do a great job.
Douglas took over that job, obviously, in the most horrible of circumstances following the untimely passing of Steve Anson, for whom the Washburn Baseball Stadium is now named. And as an alum of the program and somebody who had a relationship with Coach Anson, that was going to be such a difficult ask to follow in Steve Anson's footsteps, and to have finished up a dozen years in that job with a winning record, with over 300 wins, with a trip to the NCAA tournament in a program where that had not been like a yearly birthright by any stretch of the imagination. You have to say that big picture, it was a very successful tenure, especially given, again, the difficult circumstances under which it began.
I think so, and I agree. And from my vantage point, Harley was just great to deal with. He had high expectations, and go all sports at the college level now. Just the whole landscape has changed. I mean, with in and out and the turnover and all that. So it's getting to be a tougher job.
What does Washburn baseball look like moving forward? Because that was a program you mentioned. It was a disappointing 2026 for them. They had 4 straight winning seasons, but took a step back this past year, went 21-30. They were 2 games under 500 in the MIAA at 17-19. It's a league, obviously, like in any sport. It's extremely competitive, and it's tough to crack the upper echelon. And there are programs in the MIAA that are not just perennial MIAA contenders, but they are perennial contenders to reach the Division II College World Series. Central Missouri is the one that leaps most immediately to mind. Whoever takes the reins of the Washburn program moving forward, what do you think are reasonable expectations for that program? Because it sure feels as though across all sports, there's been a notable raising of the bar, raising of expectations across the entire athletic department here in the last few years.
Yeah, and I think that baseball will be looking for the same thing. And like you said, it's only been 2022 since they. But I think one, they need to do it quickly. You need to get somebody in there quickly, and with Connor Crimmins being on board as the interim, he knows everybody in the program. You got to try to keep as many players as you can because they have a good nucleus coming back. Got to keep as many players as you can and continue to be on the recruiting trail. But like I said, you need to get the decision made as quickly as possible because we're month and away from a new school year.
Is Crimmins a very realistic candidate for the full-time job? Would you be able to speak to that one way or another?
Well, I don't know that I would be, but I think he's a local kid. He's a Washburn guy who played 2 sports at Washburn. Like I said, he knows everybody in the program. I just don't know what Lauren and the administration are looking for. But in my mind, yes. I mean, in my mind, he's a lot of the same type of candidate that Zach Watkins was. A guy that knows everything about Washburn and bleeds Washburn, and so I think that gives him a head up.
And for whatever it's worth, a little bit of experience as the head of a program, having coached some collegiate summer baseball here in the capital city as well. I have to think that might be a point in his favor as well.
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I don't know what they're looking for exactly, and like you said, the bar keeps changing. But I like Connor, and me, I'm a local first guy.
Rick Peterson covers all things Shawnee County High School sports and the Washburn Ichabods for TopSports.News. You can head on over there and read more about the Washburn University Male and Female Athletes of the Year. You can also check out some features him and his staff have been putting up about inductees into this year's Kansas Sports Hall of Fame class with Topeka ties. Go check it out, TopSports.News. Pistol joins us every Thursday for this local sports spotlight. It's always a pleasure, Rick. We'll do it again next week.
Look forward to it.
That is Rick Peterson. We'll take a time out here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, we will wrap up this 3 o'clock hour with a return to our Chiefs countdown to kickoff. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about my friends at Calhoun's Jewelers here in Topeka. A lot of jewelry on display at Big 12 Media Days. You'll hear me talk about it in the coming days, my conversations with guys like Cam Pickett. Cam Pickett was, as the kids say, iced out. Cam Pickett had some very shiny jewelry. Trey Lathan had a really nice custom necklace that he was wearing. So it's a lot of thought about jewelry, shiny things, rings. You're thinking about that at a place like Big 12 Football Media Day. And I've got a ring that I wear every day. It's not a championship ring, but it feels like one to me because it was the day that I married my wife. I put this on, and I haven't taken it off since. And I got the ring at Calhoun's Jewelers, and I'm so glad that I chose Calhoun's Jewelers for my wedding band, for my wife's wedding ring and engagement ring as well, because the process could not have been made more friendly and more simple to find the rings of our dreams. And I know they'll do the same for you. They'll treat you exactly the same, like the MVP when you walk in at Calhoun's Jewelers here in Topeka. We'll come back to wrap up the 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk right after this. .354 on 580 Sports Talk. God, I'm away for 2 days. It's like I forget how to do everything around here. Pushing the wrong buttons, leaving the commercial music up on the stream. I promise it'll be like riding a bike eventually. I guess I just got to pratfall a couple of times before it all comes back to me. But appreciate you being here with us on 580 Sports Talk. We're with you until 6 o'clock tonight. Again, Royals baseball earlier today. Little matinee in Queens. Royals dropping the rubber game of their 3-game series against the Mets 7-3. We haven't had the occasion to continue our Chiefs countdown to kickoff the last couple of days. It's 67 days until the Chiefs and the Broncos meet on Monday night at Arrowhead Stadium for the final game of the opening week of the 2026 NFL season. And the Chiefs don't have number 67 on their active roster. They do not. That's a number, obviously. That's the meme number. Ask your kids. I think it's still funny to a subset of kids. I was just at a baseball game Tuesday night where with a moment to have their time to shine in front of everybody on the Jumbotron at Globe Life Field, a kid did the whole hand thing, the 6'7" hand thing. Again, It's beyond me. I don't understand it. If you've got kids, it's probably really funny to them. So ask them. If you've got grandkids, it's probably really funny to them. It's still a meme number. Maybe that's why the Chiefs don't want to hand it out or why nobody's really eager to wear number 67 right now. But there is not a number 67 on the active roster. I do owe an apology to Marcus Harris. He wears number 68, second-year defensive tackle. Didn't appear in a game for the Chiefs last year. We're kind of in that spot in the on the Chiefs roster right now, where you just run into numbers that aren't currently taken. Of course, we're not doing one Saturday, but that would be Trey Smith. So we'll get there. We'll get to some more headliners eventually in the Chiefs countdown to kickoff. Couple of other thoughts from the text line real quick. From the 785, texter would like to see the Royals go after the Angels left-handed starter Reed Detmers, who's had a terrific season in the strikeout department, certainly for Los Angeles. And that's an interesting thought, that rather than be a seller, the Royals should be buying with an eye on 2027 and beyond. I just don't know that they've got enough to get Detmers. I think Detmers might be one of the more in-demand arms on the market. The Angels are another one of those teams who are definitely sellers. And of the teams that are definitely sellers right now as it stands, Detmers might be the best pitcher on the market, because the Angels aren't going to trade Soriano, Jose Soriano. He's their ace. The Rockies don't have any starting pitching to trade. The Royals aren't going to trade their guys. I don't think the Giants are going to trade Logan Webb. So Detmers going to fetch a pretty penny. It's an interesting thought that the Royals should have an eye on the future in this deadline and maybe go and try and get a pitcher for beyond this season. But I don't think Detmers is the guy who's going to be real affordable for them, given what they have to offer as far as prospects go. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, Gene Taylor, athletic director at Kansas State. I caught up with him at Big 12 Media Days, as well as Blake Herold from the Kansas football team. That's all coming up on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk on this Thursday afternoon. Thanks so much for being with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our mobile app, the MSC Radio app, and on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Had a bit of a false start over there today, but we are back up and running on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you until 6 o'clock. Reunited, and it feels so good back in the Huntoon Hill studios. And I came bearing gifts.
Yeah,
as you can
did.
see on the YouTube chat. If you are watching on YouTube, you can see that I brought Spencer a Monster Energy hat because, of course, it was the Monster Energy Big 12 football media days ahead of the Monster Energy Big 12 football season.
Then the men's and women's basketball seasons that are also sponsored by Monster Energy.
If you want another hat, maybe by that point they'll have rolled out some co-branded merchandise.
I was going to say, I think they missed the mark on this by not having the brand all done, because I think that would have pushed it a little bit more. There's a lot of skepticism, but if you saw the logo, because nobody's really seen what logo is going to be put out, going to be on the jerseys and on the fields and courts. If they had that done and they put that on a hat, maybe there'd be some less skeptics out there.
Maybe. Certainly possible. I think that there are going to be some people that just don't take real kindly to the idea of having to include a corporate sponsor in front of Big 12 football.
I mean, look, NASCAR has been doing this for years.
Right. Yeah,
they're way ahead of the curve.
Yeah. God,
somebody did joke, though.
Used to be sponsored by cigarettes, for God's sake.
Somebody did joke that by the time we hit 2030, that a jersey will look like the onesie that NASCAR drive, like their whole get up, whatever it is, the suit.
Jersey patches all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you've seen like pro hockey in other countries, like pro hockey in England, or even like pro hockey in Sweden, which is a serious hockey playing country, you look at their uniforms, it's a billboard. And like, if that's where the revenue is going to come from, then that's where the revenue is going to come from. We don't have to like it. It just is what it is. Obviously, KU announced their partnership with their new crypto-based sponsor. They're going to have a jersey patch for that.
Which they already unveiled at Media Days.
They did. They had it on at Media Days. I got to see it up close and personal. It's pretty small. You're not going to be able to, like, it's not like it's going to flash neon and glow from the you'll be able to see it from the upper deck at the booth. Maybe the Monster Patch will, though. Maybe the Monster Patch will glow green.
I just don't know what they're going to do. Like historic venues like Allen Fieldhouse, what are you going to slap a Monster logo on there?
Yeah, that feels sacrilegious, right?
Yeah, like, I mean, the Hilton Coliseum, Bramlage Coliseum, like, all these legendary venues in the Big 12 are just going to have Monster Energy slapped on it.
What if Travis Goff were just like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not putting Monster Energy's logo on the Allen Fieldhouse bar. I'm not doing that. No. I'll put a big sign out front. I'll put one of those like stand up signs out front. We're not putting that Monster M next to James Naismith's name on Naismith Court.
I texted you the other day after it was first announced, and I said, "Is this going to be part of the Open for broadcast?" We've got Monster Energy Big 12 football action coming to you live from Bill Snyder Family Stadium on the campus of Kansas State University for the Sunflower Showdown as Kansas State hosts Kansas.
Needs more Monster Energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that what's going to happen? At that point, can't they just...
I think so.
Put it in the broadcast so that it's all in the broadcast and we don't have to see it on a court or field, because
maybe
they do that with the NHL on ESPN.
Hey, it's Monster is spending $20 million on the partnership. So whatever they want, they're going to get out of it. It's just, yes, there are going to be some instances in which the incorporation is very funny. I listened to, it's the world's only college football podcast called the Shutdown Fullcast, and they were making jokes about this, that really the time for the Big 12 to be sponsored by Monster Energy was like 10 years ago, when they were like the high octane, like the Mahomes, Baker Mayfield era of the Big 12. Like that was the kind of football that needed a Monster Energy sponsorship. Now, the conference is, as they point out, it's the competency conference. Nobody's bad except for like Oklahoma State and Colorado, but everybody is like a certain degree of like a quality football team, and that doesn't exactly scream Monster Energy. But hey, maybe this year things will be different across the league. I did have the red, white, and blue Monster on the way back. That was the first time I had tried a Monster Energy drink, I think, in at least a decade. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It's not going to become a regular part of my diet or my daily routine. I'm going to stick to coffee in the mornings. But it wasn't bad. Like I can, if that's all they're going to offer in the press boxes across the Big 12, if it goes that deep, then okay. I can.
Which is a whole thing in itself. These schools are branded with different sponsorships for whatever soda they have.
No, I didn't get a clear answer on what happens with the Pepsi schools, because with Monster being a Coke adjacent product, like I don't know what's going to happen with the Pepsi schools. But that was certainly one of the talking points exiting Big 12 Media Days when I finally did get on the road and leave the Star in Frisco, Texas yesterday. Came back with all kinds of audio, and we're going to hear plenty of it over the next few days. We got 3 more interviews from Big 12 Media Days to bring you today. Here in just a moment, my conversation with Gene Taylor, the athletic director at Kansas State. Later this hour, Blake Herold, Kansas junior defensive tackle, joined me at the table. He was the poster boy for the new partnership, and I'll explain in the course of the interview. And in the 5 o'clock hour, Brian Dubiski, the chairman and CEO of the Union Jack Classic, had a conversation with me at Media Days. We'll play that for you coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Also have What Is Wrong With You coming up this hour of the program as well. Your text, 785-272-9429 is the number, 785-272-9429 to text the program. You can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube stream. Name of that channel is 580 Sports Talk.
I've got a lot of people, I haven't told you this off the air, but a lot of people have been inquiring about our 1,000 subscriber mark.
Understood. Understandable.
So I said we'll figure things out next week.
Yes. We've got to put that in motion next week. The Big 12 Media Days trip obviously was a lot of oxygen on the sports side of the building. So forgive us. We have not forgotten about you, faithful 1,000-plus YouTube subscribers. We are going to do something special for you. We just have to get the details finalized. Once we do, we will announce it. But we have not forgotten about you, and we do encourage more of you to subscribe. And then you can make fun of us. Say, hey, what's going to happen first? These guys announce what they're doing for 1,000, or we get to 1,100. That would be a great bit, honestly. If we got to 1,100, you'd have to step on the gas to do it. But go subscribe to the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. All right. I talked to Gene Taylor yesterday. I wasn't expecting to get any FaceTime with Gene because it can be hit or miss on which ADs actually show and which ones actually come out to the floor.
Yeah,
of, they radio/media/podcast row.
They probably have their own AD suite or something where they go mingle with each other.
They go hang out and say mean things underneath their breath at Kirby Hokut, and you know how things go. But
I will
anyway,
say Gene Taylor seems to be very available. He had a lot of things to say about the Brendan Sorsby situation, and
he did have a lot to say publicly about the Brendan Sorsby situation. None of it, not none of it, but the most notable quote of his was not suitable for repeat on the radio, thanks to FCC regulations. So obviously I want to ask Gene about that, but also want to ask him about kind of the state of the athletic department coming off of, let's be honest, a down year for K-State athletics, the big front porch sports anyway, in 2025-26, and where the Wildcats go from here with new leadership in the football and men's basketball departments. So without any further ado, here's my conversation with the director of athletics at Kansas State University, Gene Taylor. From Big 12 Football Media Days at the Star in Frisco, Texas, here on 580 Sports Talk, we're joined by the athletic director at Kansas State University, Gene Taylor. And Gene, interesting summer?
You could. It was so far. I've heard interesting and different, and so yeah, it's been an interesting summer, that's for sure.
So we're taping this, so we can edit like your friends in the print media. So just you get permission to speak freely and everything. But where do you feel like things stand as we convene here? It's kind of the unofficial start of the new calendar year of sports in the Big 12 is these football media days. Where do you think things stand right now in the conference with its memberships, with its athletic directors after everything that went on with Brendan Sorsby and Texas Tech?
I will tell you this. As a group of athletic directors, when we get in a room for meetings, no matter what the topic is, we don't always agree on everything, right? But yet at the end of the day, we try to make a decision what's best for the conference. And even if it goes against your individual institution or it's something that you don't agree with, we move on. And I think that's what we've done. I think as a group of athletic directors, we've moved on. We know that it was a rough go for all of us. Some of us had stronger opinions than others. But I think, Texas Tech is going to start their football season, and they're going to go play games, and we're going to move through it. And the next time we meet, which I believe we have some meetings in August, I'm sure that the athletic director from Texas Tech will be in the room, and we'll all be fine. And we'll talk about what's the next biggest challenge for us as a conference.
Because I think the thing that gets maybe lost is that it wasn't just that you felt like you had to fight for the Big 12 conference. There's an element of feeling like you maybe had to fight for the entire institution of college athletics here, given the rule that was in question. Right. Did you feel a little bit of that responsibility? Do you think your fellow athletic directors felt a little responsibility that, hey, we're not just fighting, digging in our heels for the Big 12 here. There's a big piece of college athletics maybe at stake here that we need to fight for.
Well, yeah, I think it's even bigger than college athletics. I mean, I think just sports in general, that one issue is the one issue everybody can agree on as this. You just can't do that. Right, you cannot bet on your sport in the NCAA level, and you can't bet on your team. And the fact that was out, and he admitted it. To me, that's just where it ends. But I understand that judges get a friendly judge, and that's where I wasn't. So I mean, the young man has a challenge; he's got to get fixed. Right, that wasn't my concern. My concern was the judge's decision. That you would hope as a judge of a court would understand the impact that you just talked about making that kind of decision would have on a broader scale. And I think that's the one thing that I scratch my head with to this point is just how did the judge come to that decision? But, it's behind us right now. And we've all learned from it in a lot of ways, to be honest with you, and we'll go forward.
Gene Taylor is the athletic director at Kansas State University, joining us from Big 12 Football Media Days here at the Star in Frisco, Texas. Last year was a challenging year for Kansas State athletics. Football did not meet expectations. Chris Kleiman retired, new head coach. Men's basketball was a difficult year. You have a new head coach there. Women's basketball missed the tournament. Baseball didn't meet expectations. It was some disappointment in those high-profile sports for Kansas State. How do you feel like this new year can offer some new opportunities? How do you feel like Colin Klein and Casey Alexander have kind of started to turn the page on what was a disappointing year and started to say, hey, we got a new start. We've got new opportunities to win and be the athletic department we want to be at Kansas State.
Yeah, no, obviously they bring a lot of excitement. Colin, obviously being who he is and what he did as a player and when he was the offensive coordinator here. Casey's come in and brought a lot of excitement every time he speaks somewhere. I get feedback from fans about, boy, he's really fitting in. He's really – and I would say yes. I don't know if I'd use the word disappointing. I would tell you that we accomplish what we wanted to accomplish? No. But then you look at the track that finishes fourth in indoor and eighth outdoor, and we had a couple of national champions in the women's golf program. Are they not the most high-profile sports? No, volleyball makes it to the NCAA tournament and gets a win, a big win, and they take Nebraska to the nth degree. So there was still a lot of good things. Pete Hughes, I think, would have been an NCAA tournament if he wouldn't have the injury. So, I think we all want to win every year, right? But I think the good news is, like I said, Colin's bringing a lot of new energy. I think Casey's doing the same thing. And it's a new year, right? It's a refresh, and so it's always kind of excitement as you go into it. And I think that'll help, and hopefully we can have a year that everybody's excited about.
When you do the events, when you're out and about, like the Catbacker stuff, and you see Colin Klein and his interactions with Kansas State fans, what do you notice about those interactions, how they receive him being really one of them, a Kansas State alum who's come back to coach at his alma mater?
I think that's exactly the point. Is a lot of times when we've had events, particularly when he first got here, I'd go to introduce him to somebody, and I'd be like, well, that was dumb. They know him better than I do. And that's it. They just feel like he's one of them. They watched him from the time he was a freshman, and then go to the time he was a senior and was in New York City for the Heisman winner, or Heisman Award, and then he comes back and he's a young coach, and then a quarterback coach, and then so they just kind of watched him grow up in Kansas State football, and he's just so natural, and I think people just have embraced him before, and he's just that kind of person, right? He's just a heck of a guy. He values K-State football. He values the tradition, yet he's going to touch it, put his own mark on it. He values the culture of what K-State football and K-State athletics is about. So it was probably one of the easiest hires I've ever made.
The slogan that Colin Klein broke out in his introductory press conference, the new old school. Right. What does that mean to you? What do you hope that is embodied by when it comes to this iteration of Kansas State football?
I think, obviously that's, if you look at how he played the game, right, toughness and grit, and, I'm going to do everything I can to get my team in the best position to win, but yet knows that the game has changed, and he's evolved with that game, whether it's the type of offense you run, the type of defense, or, how you manage your players now. So I think that's what he means, is that we're going to be grounded in the traditions of what make K-State football really good. But we're going to do some different things. We're going to be, I don't know if we'll call it more creative. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do offensively and defensively. But I think that's what it's about, is that we're grounded with who we are at K-State, but yet we're going to make sure we're moving forward with the new world of college athletics and college football.
A couple more questions for Gene Taylor. He is the athletic director at Kansas State University, joining us here at the Star in Frisco, Texas for Big 12 Football Media Days. You mentioned Casey Alexander. Want to ask about him, your new men's basketball coach. He comes in, great track record of success, not just winning, but developing talent at Belmont. How much of that aspect of it, the talent development, the recruiting aspect, went into feeling like he was the right choice to lead the Kansas State program?
Well, I think, when I've hired head coaches in the past, and they've had a track record of winning wherever they've been, and then they can win games against, a smaller school like Belmont, against bigger programs. And then just the way, like you said, the way he can take players. He's lost a lot of players that he brought in, develop them, and then they go to high majors. And then he's got a track record of that. So I think we knew if he got here, he could keep those players. But he's going to bring in players that fit his system and fit into what he believes is a basketball program. So, I was impressed. We had a team in April, and he's got players that he likes, and so we'll see. He said, we haven't played a game in the Big 12 yet, but I'm excited about the team I've got.
The job of being an athletic director has obviously evolved since you've been at Kansas State, but certainly over the course of your entire career in college athletics. I'm curious what the things are that you hold on to that are the same, because so much is different. So much is about growth, and now you've got a commissioner like Brett Yormark talking about being a globally relevant conference, and you're not probably thinking too much beyond your footprint back in the old Big 12 or the Big 8 days, certainly. Right. So, but what is the same? What is the same for you? How do you approach your job as far as these things are unchanging and these commitments are unchanging?
I think, and I tell this to donors when I speak, because obviously you've got, players making money now, and at least for us at K-State and the coaches that bring in the athletes that we have here, at the end of the day, what I talk about is these athletes still are great individuals. They care about having success at K-State, and they take great pride in putting that uniform on and coming out of the tunnel or coming out into the field because they want to represent K-State at a high level. And to me, that's been the same everywhere I've been. It's really why we come to work every day. It's what can we do for the student athlete to give them the best experience ever. Even in the changing world that you talk about, there's still a grounded level of, hey, these young men and women come here for the right reasons. We're going to do everything we can, and when they go out and compete, they're competing for K-State, and they love compete for K-State. And to me, I haven't seen that change a great deal.
Last one for you, Gene. Have you availed yourself of a Monster Energy drink today?
I have not today, no. I'm going to probably have to learn how to drink it. I don't like a ton of caffeine, so, but...
coffee or 5-hour energy?
I
what's
drink
your choice?
A diet soda.
Okay.
I do about 2 a day, one in the morning and one after lunch. I just manage to get through the day. Sometimes, depending on the time of year, take a little quick nap, in the summertime. So.
We got to make that green M go with the purple, right?
Purple, yeah. We're going to see how that looks.
You got the lanyard. Your lanyard is a color. It actually kind of looks okay.
Yeah, not bad.
Looks pretty good. Gene Taylor is the athletic director at Kansas State University, taking some time with us here on 580 Sports Talk from Big 12 Media Days. Gene, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you, and wishing you and the athletic department best of luck in 26-27.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Having me on.
That was my chat with Gene Taylor. Enjoyed getting to speak with Gene, as always. Been a minute since we've had him on 580 Sports Talk, so it was great to get the FaceTime with Gene down there at the Star in Frisco, Texas. Real quickly to his point about the league wanting to move forward from the Brendan Sorsby saga. Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports had some reporting yesterday that Big 12 conference officials and Texas Tech administrative executives had gotten together the week before media days to try to bury the hatchet a little bit. And we talked during the media days about Brett Yormark's tactics when it came to being addressed with questions about Brendan Sorsby, to say that this is not the time to talk about that. And in saying so, essentially declaring it from his perspective a dead issue, that the decision was made and that the conference is looking forward to moving forward. But you get to all of the quotes, both anonymous and otherwise. There have been anonymous quotes given to, there was an ESPN story, Heather Dinich and others reported. There's some things that Joey McGuire said in his availability on Tuesday at Big 12 Media Days, making it very clear that Texas Tech's feelings are still hurt. And when you hear Gene Taylor talk about why people were so upset about this, Texas Tech is just going to have to get over it. And It's not Brett Yormark's responsibility to hold their hand and pat them on the back and tell them how special they are while they get over their feelings being hurt, because none of this was personal. The only people choosing to make this personal are Texas Tech people. They are the only people who are looking at this as though they were being unfairly singled out, as though everything that happened is somehow an attack on their institution or their football program. And it's not any of that. It is not anti-Texas Tech sentiment. It is anti-this kid shouldn't be playing football sentiment. And yes, there's an element of it that I'm sure was frustrating at the beginning to see Texas Tech be so strident in their belief that Brendan Sorsby should have maintained his eligibility to play football for them. But once that issue was settled, I don't sense that there's going to be lingering resentment from anybody towards Texas Tech. I think the Big 12 is happy to bury the hatchet. I think the Big 12's athletic directors seem happy to let bygones be bygones with Kirby Hocutt. Certainly didn't seem to be any hard feelings between Joey McGuire and any of his comrades at Big 12 Media Days. He's slapping backs and having laughs, and everybody speaks glowingly about Joey McGuire. He's still a guy who has a lot of respect among that coaching fraternity. It's only personal if you have a victim complex. Unfortunately, Cody Campbell has a raging victim complex. And Texas Tech fans and Texas Tech media have a raging victim complex. And they want this to be all about them and all about some sort of verification of where they feel like they stand in the Big 12. And that's the part that is going to lead to the quotes that are going to catch everybody's attention about scars that still need to heal or hard feelings or things that still where's the quote from McGuire here? It's going to be something we'll have to work through. I think it's tough. I think there's going to be a process. There's a lot of finger pointing, he said to Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports. That's a you problem. That is not the Big 12's problem. That is a Texas Tech problem. Get over it. Get over yourselves. You won one league championship. That does not make you the protagonist of the Big 12, the protagonist of college football. We'll take a time out here at 580 Sports Talk. We'll come back with What is Wrong with You, and then later this hour, another one of my Big 12 Football Media Days interviews with Blake Herold, junior defensive tackle at Kansas. That's coming up on 580 Sports Talk. But before we go to break, I want to tell you all about my friends at Eagle Auto Wash. Look, I know it rained last night. Rained like crazy. And we've had a lot of rain in the forecast recently. And when it rains, maybe the last thing you're thinking about when you see rain in the forecast is getting your car washed, because you don't want to run the risk. You go get your car washed, and then it rains, and you spent that money, and you're out. Well, not only does Eagle Auto Wash have a 24-hour rain check for anybody who purchases any kind of car wash at Eagle Auto Wash. So if it does rain, just go back within 24 hours, get it re-washed, and you're all good. But if you are an unlimited Wash Pass member, you can go get your car washed as much as you want. And I mean as much as you want. Want to go once a week? Do it. Soar with Eagle once a week. You want to go twice a day? Do it. Go for it. Make sure you've got the shine you want. And there are unlimited Wash Passes for all purposes. They are built to suit your needs and your desires for a clean and shining ride, and nobody gives you a better shine than the locally owned and operated Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon here in Topeka. We'll take a break. What is Wrong with You is next. So what is wrong with you time on 580 Sports Talk? We've got two news stories competing today. Our current weekly champion remains, Can You Arrest Me Now? The guy who called the police because his car got stolen and brought police right to an active crime scene. Not just because his car had been stolen, but because he had been trying to break into a Verizon store. And he was caught quite literally red-handed. He had blood on his hands, there was blood on the window. And, he was instantly arrested. They didn't find who stole his car. Maybe they will, but that guy's got bigger problems than missing vehicle.
I don't think they're worried about his vehicle.
We do have an update, though, on yesterday's Daily Winner. They do have a suspect. and charges are pending in the theft of the plants outside the Shawnee Antique Mall.
Somebody sent us, I think it was a text message about this. I don't know if it was something on Facebook. I couldn't see it. Somebody sent that yesterday too.
So that may have been the follow-up.
Yeah.
That they have been caught. They were on surveillance video. They're up there in 4K, and suspect has been identified. Charges are pending, according to the Kansas City Star. Okay, we got two stories today. Mine's not like the strongest story in the world. I really only chose it for one reason, and the reason will become very apparent. People blowing up porta potties with fireworks.
What?
Yeah, I guess that's the thing you do is you put a firework in a porta john and you blow it up.
That sounds disgusting.
Changing the definition of blowing up the bathroom. At least 13 of them were blown up in Billings, Montana over the July 4th holiday. The company in question is blaming Wyoming fireworks for the destruction. Apparently, there's a bit less of restriction on what kind of firework you can get in Wyoming relative to what you can get in Montana. And so given the damage done to these porta potties, the owners suspect that it was fireworks from Wyoming. I can attest to there are fireworks stands right on the Colorado-Wyoming border because fireworks aren't legal in Colorado. But you know where you can go get them? Wyoming. Yeah. And I knew people who, from the Denver area, like Denver to Cheyenne's like 2 hours. And I knew people who plan their weekends around 4th of July around, we're going to make that drive to Cheyenne. We're going to go get some fireworks. We're going to go get some of the big suckers. Like, they sell different kind of fireworks up there in Wyoming.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Anyway, and as a result, 13 porta-johns got blown up in Billings.
That's crazy, man.
But I really chose this story to let you in on the name of the business in question here. These porta-johns are owned by European Porta Pots. That's URAPEEIN, European Porta Pots.
Smart name.
It's so good.
Great naming.
It's so good. It's genius is what it is. European Porta Pots in Billings. Their fleet of portable toilets has been downsized a little bit. They've got 400 toilets placed throughout southern Montana. So 13 blown up toilets doesn't represent a huge loss of inventory, but it's $12,000 worth of destroyed property they've got to replace. So not ideal. Don't blow up porta potties. That's not cool. Don't do that with Wyoming grade fireworks or anybody's fireworks.
Yeah.
All right. So your story. I saw your story and I said to myself, I don't want to go there, but you are going there today. Go ahead, rip the Band-Aid off. This is one of the grosser stories we've ever had on What Is Wrong With You. Spencer, share it with the world, please.
A man in Fort Wayne, Indiana, was arrested for arson because he set his house on fire. Except for it's a lot more disturbing than that.
Yeah, it is.
An Indiana man cut off his schlong with a...
Oh, don't say...
An Indiana man cut off his...
Say penis. We're adults here.
With a kitchen knife, poured gasoline on its severed member, and then set it on fire in his family's garage, according to the police who arrested the suspect for arson. Investigators allege that Christopher Peterson,
we'll go with
Peterson, 36, set fire at a Fort Wayne residence owned by his mother. At the same time, fire officials were investigating the 2 a.m. blaze. Police were responding to a reported stabbing at the property. They quickly realized that the, quote, victim of the stabbing and the missing resident of the fire were the same person, according to the probable cause affidavit. After Peterson was located by cops, he claimed to have been stabbed somewhere downtown Fort Wayne.
Yeah, he got stabbed somewhere downtown, all right.
However, after Peterson was transported to Parkview Regional Medical Center, he reportedly said he had lied about the stabbing and wanted to be, quote, truthful. He then told officials that he had gone into the detached garage around 2 a.m. and harmed himself with a kitchen knife, cutting off his member. He then poured gasoline on his member, set fire on the floor of the garage just inside the door. Peterson added that he then left the garage and began walking away from the property until he encountered police. In a court affidavit, the Fort Wayne Fire Department investigator reported collecting evidence from the garage that included a gas container, 4 Bic lighters, and a kitchen knife. The affidavit, though, did not address if any bodily parts were recovered. This happened back on May 6th. And he was recently freed on a $1,000 bond. He is scheduled to go back to court next week, July 13th. His rap sheet includes a pair of drunk driving convictions. So no word on the extent.
You say that like that is the logical first step. Yeah, a couple of DUI convictions. So it was naturally cut off his penis.
No word on the extent of the injuries. Or why he cut off his penis.
I don't know. We had a text from the 785 WT actual F. Yeah, like a lot of times, what is wrong with you is a rhetorical question. It's not this is one of those times. We know the answer. You ask a question, you know the answer. What's wrong with this guy? Severe mental illness. Has to be. Only way you would say, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to say bye-bye to my manhood. I'm going to cut it off with a... Yeah. I know we got listeners grimacing, wincing, maybe looking down below the waist and just thinking, man, I'm grateful I've never done that to myself or never experienced that level of pain before. Yeah, I don't know how we get the show back on the rails after that one. Like, that's one of those that, like, I don't even... We get the stories that, like, okay, yes, obviously that wins, but I never want to think about it again.
Yeah.
Like, I think that might be where we're at with this guy. Like, there just seems to be very little to it. Like, he just, on a lark, cut his penis off. On a lark, I woke up and I went about my day. I had lunch, maybe enjoyed a television show, maybe went for a walk. I had myself a regular day, and then at 2 a.m., I thought I would have, as Jeffrey puts it in the YouTube comments, a sausage barbecue with my own. I'm
glad I could give Jeffrey a chuckle.
Yeah, it wins today, and I never want to think about it ever again. We're moving on with the burglary story because you know what? I can laugh at that, and this is supposed to be a funny segment. This is supposed to be levity. We're supposed to make you laugh. From the 913, what drug was he on to kick out Mr. Johnson? From the 785, I don't want membership in that club. You guys are funnier than us today. From the 785, he needs a street lawyer. Pronto. We know one. Oh no. Yeah, that wins today, but I'm ready to chuck it out if you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready to never think about the guy doing that ever again. So it wins. We acknowledge that it is a very hard one to beat, and yet we would much rather consider the guy who called the cops on his own burglary moving forward as our What Is Wrong With You winner. Stay with us. I feel like I have to say please after we do a story like that. Blake Herold, junior defensive tackle at the University of Kansas, joined me at Big 12 Media Days. We'll play our conversation next. Britt in the YouTube comments asks, is that the kind of story you bring back for a best of What Is Wrong With You? Yes. That's not a story that we would ever, advance to the championship, but that's a story that you get enough good jokes off about it that, it lives in the best of folder.
Yeah.
That one day we will avail ourselves of, and we'll just we can honestly, if we really went back and did it, we could probably just have that be like a day we just knock off and play 3 hours of old What Is Wrong With You. Put that in the save that idea for a rainy day. 580 Sports Talk here at 580 WIBW. Big 12 football media days concluded yesterday. It was Kansas and Kansas State both in attendance yesterday, and I sat down with all 9 members of See what you made me do is I can't even use that word. I can't even use that word now. The 4 players from Kansas State and the 5 players from Kansas who appeared at Big 12 Football Media Days. You heard yesterday from Avery Johnson of Kansas State, Leroy Harris from Kansas. Right now, I want to bring you my chat with Blake Herold, junior defensive tackle from the Kansas Jayhawks from Big 12 Football Media Days. Here it is.
Welcome back to Big 12 Football Media Days at the Star in Frisco, Texas. Stan Lucero, 580 Sports Talk, joined now by a junior defensive tackle for the Kansas Jayhawks, Blake Herold. And Blake, you are the first player that I've had the occasion to speak to who walked over with the Monster Energy. So have you been a big Monster Energy drinker, or are you just sampling the wares because they're a big money sponsor now, the Big 12?
No, yeah, I do enjoy a Monster here and there. When I was younger, I actually used to drink them in middle school. Probably not the great age to start drinking Monsters, but me and my friends used to love getting Monsters after we were playing basketball at the park and stuff like that.
So you're perfect then. You're the perfect poster boy for the Big 12's new deal, that green M. You try and maybe get a little bit more NIL out of that, right?
I would love that. We're just free Monster. Free Monster will do it too.
Hey, listen, we got plenty of that today here at the Star, so you can at least hook yourself up there if nothing else. Blake, you're going into your junior year on this defense, and when I've talked to people who cover the program, observe the program, they've referred to you the last couple of years as kind of an unsung hero on the KU defense. Yeah. When you hear that, what does that mean to you? What does that symbolize about maybe the player you've been and the player that you hope to continue to be for Kansas?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great thing to be an unsung hero. I would love to just be a hero though.
Sure.
To be honest, but no, I think it means to me that I've been doing what I need to do. That's really what it is. I'm helping the team out. I'm doing what's best for the team. Like what I do personally, it doesn't matter to me. If we get a W, that's a win. I don't care if I got 0 tackles, if I got 7, 8, 2 sacks. That doesn't matter as long as we get W's. So,
what does define your success? Because you're in an interesting position, defensive tackle, where the counting numbers at the end of the game might not look pretty, but you can go look at the film and say, hey, I held up against this double team. I ate this block so Trey Lathan could make a tackle. How do you sort of define your own success on a game-by-game basis? And within that rubric, how do you feel like you played last year?
No, I mean, I feel like there were some games here and there I didn't play my best, but I think everyone has that. But the stat sheet doesn't really do justice for D tackles. Because there could be 4 plays in a row, I take a double team, and if Trey makes 4 tackles, that's a win in my book. And then overall, just getting wins, having more points than their team.
Sure.
That's the name of the game for me personally. I don't look into stats too much. I mean, I would love to have 10 sacks, or I'd love to have 25 TFLs, whatever it is. But for me, it's does the defense allow however many yards and however many points? I want that as low as possible, and I want to win on the scoreboard.
Blake Herold, junior defensive tackle for the Kansas Jayhawks, joining us from Big 12 Football Media Days here at the Star in Frisco, Texas. Your D-line mate, Leroy Harris, is here as well. He had a really nice debut season with the Jayhawks. With him and some of the other guys you got coming back at defensive tackle, how do you feel just kind of observing this group? How impactful can you guys be when it comes to sacks, tackles for loss? What do you think the ceiling of your defensive line group is?
I think it's really high. I think DK, our DK McDonald, our DC, always says that the D-line is the engine of our defense. So if we're playing great, then the defense as a whole is playing great. So whatever we can do to help out, I know Leroy and the guys on the edge going to get home if I'm taking 2 inside, and vice versa. Like if they're sliding one way, then one of us going to get home. So we just got to keep working together. I think we're meshing really well with the new guys that we have too, and then we're just going to get W's.
Give me a name of somebody over the course of spring and team workouts going into this fall. Maybe we're not talking about him right now, but you think we're going to be talking about him quite a bit as the season wears on. I
really hope y'all get to see Quincy Davis. Quincy Davis has been working so hard in this program. He's a linebacker. He's not a D-line. But I just admire how he works and what he's been able to do. He flies to the ball. He's aggressive. He hits people. I would love for y'all to be able to see him on Saturdays. That would be it for me.
Blake Herold, defensive tackle, Kansas Jayhawks, joining us from Big 12 Football Media Days here in Frisco, Texas. You mentioned DK McDonald. This is year 2 with him as your defensive coordinator. What's the biggest difference now, having been with him and having be your DC and be in his system for a year, to now going into year 2? What's the biggest positive change there?
I would think the positive change is he's letting the players take a bigger role in leading this defense. Guys like me, Trey, and Leroy, we're kind of taking over the reins. We're not letting coach lead us as much. We as leaders of this defense. If guys can listen to us, then we know that the sky's kind of the limit for us. And for DK, he's also been able to simplify the playbook down a little bit. Last year we were running all sorts of calls. We were running every front, every coverage. I mean, we still have that, but it's simplified down so that new guys that just came in can kind of learn the defense, get it pat down, and then we can kind of play within our defense and figure it out as we go.
Is it, you mentioned some of the vocabulary and some of the things that you're running being a little bit more simplified. Does that make it easier to just go play and just go hit the accelerator on Saturday?
Yeah, we're still very multiple as a defense. Like, we can show you anything and everything. But as far as understanding the scheme and the playbook, it helps young guys and it helps transfers come in and just play football. Getting rid of this and that kind of just helps guys think less, play more. So
you get to practice against the offense, and the offense graduated a lot of playmakers from last season, leading rushers, leading receivers. Obviously, you're starting quarterback Jalen Daniels. So it's going to be a lot of new faces. Even if they're not new to college football, they're new to you guys. Mm-hmm. What do you observe with the level of playmaking ability on this roster, having to go up against them, the ones against the ones in practice?
No, I think we brought in some playmakers for sure, from outside receivers to running backs to quarterbacks that are stepping up in our program. I know we've got multiple quarterbacks that are battling right now, and they're competing, and that makes us as a whole team so much better. But I think from the wideouts, from Cam, Nick McMillan, Najee Cox, like all those guys are playmakers, especially Dylan Edwards, Yasin. All those guys with the ball in their hands, they can make plays. That's exactly what we need, especially with Coach K's offense that he's bringing over. I think we're going to be a pretty elite offense.
A few more questions for Blake Herold, a junior defensive tackle for the Kansas Jayhawks here at Big 12 Football Media Days at the Star in Frisco, Texas. You're from Shenandoah, Iowa. Tell me a little bit about your hometown.
Super small hometown, about 4,800 people.
Okay.
I think I might be the first D1 since 89.
Oh, wow.
I think. But no, it's a great community. So supportive when I get to go back there. Everybody kind of knows who you are when you go back. So it's great to be able to do certain things and help out the sports programs and kind of donate here and there where you can and help out the community.
How much do you take seriously that responsibility to be somebody that your hometown, small as it is, and the kids growing up like you did with D1 dreams, you show them, hey, you can do it from here.
Yeah. No, that was one of my reasons why I keep pushing so hard, to just kind of show those kids back home, even in small towns surrounding, that you can do it. I mean, it's never too far out of reach. Like, the fact that I'm sitting right here today kind of just proves that. So I think that helps me keep pushing, keep doing what I'm doing to make sure that other guys like myself can get to this level.
So 4,800 people in Shenandoah. How many stoplights?
We upgraded. We got
a new one.
We got 4 stoplights in the
city.
Wow,
okay.
We used to have 3. We upped it to 4 because we do have a Walmart, one of the only Walmarts in the area.
Really?
So
okay.
You get some traffic coming into Walmart now.
Yeah, you got to have the 4th stoplight.
Yeah,
that's front page news. Stop everything. Cut the ribbon and everything. You have McDonald's, Dairy Queen. Like,
we got a McDonald's and a Subway.
A McDonald's and a Subway.
And your local restaurants.
Oh, sure. What's the best local restaurant in Shenandoah?
We've got a local place called the Depot. So much history in there. Every inch of the wall covered in some sort of Shenandoah memorabilia,
awesome.
Shenandoah High School. I mean, anybody that's came through the town with any significance, your picture or anything's on the wall in there. So
That's pretty cool. What do you order when you go?
it depends. They've got a lot of good stuff. They usually do like specials or stuff like that. I know me and my grandpa went there when I was back home a couple weeks ago. I can't remember if I got a burger or if I got like a tenderloin. I think I might have got the tenderloin as big as the plate. So a little tiny bun on there, but the tenderloin, it was fire.
Listen, I'm sold. That's all I need to hear.
Yeah.
I need a tenderloin the size of a catcher's mitt.
Yes,
Blake
sir.
Herold, junior defensive tackle for the Kansas Jayhawks, joining us for Big 12 Football Media Days. Blake, all the best to you in this upcoming 2026 season. Thanks for taking some time to sit down with us.
Yep, I appreciate it.
That was Blake Herold from Big 12 Football Media Days. That's sort of the quintessential media day interview for me. We start with energy drinks and we end with pork tenderloin. Like, that's the kind of stuff. Like, listen, and when you sit down with these guys, because they all do all these interviews, they got to do the whole car wash and they got to pose for pictures. They got several wardrobe changes because they're in uniform for some of the day, and then they're in their suits for some of the day. They're in their warm-ups for some of the day. And it's a long and exhausting day, and you're talking football. And our goal has always been, my goal has always been, I want to ask you a question that nobody else in this whole place is going to ask you. I want to ask you something, and it gets harder as the day goes on. Like, I caught Avery Johnson early. I was Avery Johnson's first interview of the day. Last year, I was Avery's last interview.
Oh, yeah, because didn't we do it live?
We did. We did it live. It's actually on camera. You can go back. You can watch that on our YouTube archive. And you can see, like, Avery was gassed, man.
Yeah.
You get to the end of the day, you're tired. Except for Leroy Harris. I mentioned Blake Herold being the poster child for Monster Energy. Leroy Harris mentioned he had sampled all of them during the day, and he looked and acted like somebody who had drank like 3 or 4 Monsters. He really, really did. He was a great advertisement for the effects of Monster Energy drink. But I'm always hoping to ask a question because, like, you're going to get the football stuff, and we want to talk football. That's why we're all there. We're excited about football season and all of that. But now you know, should you ever wind up in Shenandoah, Iowa, that you can go get a gigantic pork tenderloin at the depot.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of information. That right there is news you can use, as far as I'm concerned.
Also, I feel like if you ask, so when you go to these things, you ask the same questions over and over, and they just tell you like what it is in like 3 words because they've said the same thing over and over all day.
You get rehearsed answers.
Yes.
There's nothing rehearsed about telling me about Shenandoah.
Exactly.
That's for sure. Coming up at the 5 o'clock hour, hear from Brian Dubiski, the chairman and CEO of the Union Jack Classic. I've got a thought on youth sports based on Team USA soccer loss in the World Cup and our headlines. That's all coming up on the 3rd and final hour of 580 Sports Talk.
My name is Ariel. I moved to the U.S. at 19.
Well, let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk on this Thursday afternoon. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis hanging out with you here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, on your mobile device, on the MSC radio app, and on YouTube. On our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. So glad you're with us. We got one more hour to hang out together. We are off at 6 o'clock. Royals baseball already done for the day. They lost to the Mets earlier this afternoon, 7-3. Royals now head to Baltimore for 3 games to conclude the first half, the unofficial first half of the season before next week's All-Star break.
It looks like they're going to get Vinny Pasquantino back tomorrow, too. That's early word pregame from Matt Quatrero that he could come off the IL tomorrow.
That would be a nice boost to the lineup, certainly, to get Vinny Pasquantino back in there. He's certainly been missed, although hasn't had the year that he had hoped for before he suffered that hamate injury. I would temper expectations for what he's going to bring, particularly in the power department. Hand injuries, you can come back, you can swing, you can play recovering from a hand injury, but it takes you a while to get your power back.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, whether it's a hand, a wrist, a thumb, a finger, takes you a while to get your power back. And Vinny had been he'd been struggling in every department offensively this year before the injury, but
I don't know how true this is, but some people take their hamate bone out of their hand.
I don't know if that's true or not.
I was listening to some baseball podcast talking about a hamate bone, and you can get it taken out so you don't break it.
You can have it taken out. You can have it taken out, and it is primarily performed to relieve chronic pain and restore grip strength.
Okay, so I wasn't being crazy
No.
when I saw a video for it.
No.
I was trying to recall what it was, who was talking about it and what podcast or whatever it was on, but I just couldn't remember. All I remembered is that I learned something new, that you don't really need your hamate bone.
So it's a really, really, I'm reading this article at MLB.com. It's a really small bone on the pinky side of your hand.
You lose a whole month of the season if you break it.
So the way you grip your bat, like you think about gripping a baseball bat, and where the knob of the bat sits on your lower hand. So for me as a left-handed hitter, it's your right hand, or for a right-handed hitter on your left hand, the knob sits right on that bone. And so you can hurt it. And remember, when Pasquantino suffered the injury, it was just on a swing.
Yeah.
So what essentially happened, it was probably a stress fracture of the injury, because the bone weakens over time because of all of those swings. Or you can break it on contact. The vibration of the bat can cause an injury. Interesting article about it from MLB.com. You can find it on Google. And most of the time, it sounds like if you have surgery on the injury, it is to remove the bone. So
Interesting. I
Yeah.
had no clue. I thought I was going crazy when I said it out loud again, but I guess not.
No. In fact, that is the like the mode out the more common outcome for a broken hamate bone, a fractured hamate bone. If they go in there and they do surgery, they probably take it out. It's kind of like your appendix, I guess. It's the appendix of the hand. Or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it'd be nice to see Vinny Pasquantino back in the Royals lineup for sure. Royals back in action tomorrow night against Baltimore. 6:10 first pitch, which means we'll be off early at 5:30 on tomorrow's 580 Sports Talk. On today's 580 Sports Talk, we still got an hour left of the show. Going to play you another interview from my excursion to Big 12 football media days. Brian Dubiski is the chairman and CEO of the Union Jack Classic, which is the name of the game that will feature this year in its first ever playing Kansas and Arizona State at the iconic Wembley Stadium in London. It's first ever college football game played at Wembley Stadium. And so I was curious because Brian was there with the Union Jack Classic. They unveiled the trophy. Did you see the trophy?
I did. I saw a bunch of KU football players holding the trophy, maybe?
Yeah, KU players and Arizona State players each got to pose with it on their respective days.
So is this a Big 12 thing?
Yes, conference game.
No. I meant, like, is it a Big 12 thing? Is the Union Jack Classic going to be Big 12 versus Big 12 every year?
I don't know that it will be every year, but you'll hear Brian talk about why the Big 12 was the conference that was the fit for the first one.
Okay.
And, and more with Brian, who also himself does have Big 12 ties. He played football at Texas Tech. So,
figures.
Yeah, talk to Brian a little bit about that, too. So, Brian Dubiski, chairman and CEO of the Union Jack Classic. So, a little bit of inside baseball, I suppose. You go to these media day events, and the bowl CEOs, like the people in charge of the bowl games, or the Aflac kickoff game, or the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, like a lot of bowls will send reps. There's a rep from the Pop-Tarts Bowl there.
They did something big, right? Didn't the Pop-Tart, they did something, I saw something on Twitter about it.
If they did, I missed it.
Oh.
If they did something with the Pop-Tarts running around, I didn't see any of the Pop-Tarts, which is too bad, because I think I would have noticed, and I would have wanted to be a part of that. I would have wanted to meet one of the Pop-Tarts for sure. That would have been a big goal of mine.
Yeah.
But they always make themselves available, and to be honest, for years, those have not been interviews I've really been all that interested in doing, particularly for established bowl games, because I just don't know, like, I don't really know what to talk about with those folks. Like, I don't think that
What's
those
new
are
at the bowl this year?
Yeah, I don't think that those are generally like real interesting interviews, and that's not a knock on the games, and it's not a knock on the people involved. I have just never considered those. Like back in the day, you know, we've as a station, as a show, we've gone to this event for many years, and you know, we've gone before my time. I've been to, I think I was counting, I think it was my 7th Big 12 Media Days. And I've been with, you know, our former co-hosts around here, Jake LaFon and Brendan Dworzinski. And we go to these events, and we typically kind of pass on those interviews. But the Union Jack Classic being brand new, a brand new thing, and not a bowl game, but a game that is a Big 12 game and that involves Kansas, I thought, well, I should talk to somebody from that.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting to talk to the chairman and CEO of the game. And I thought it was an interesting chat, and I hope that you will too. We're going to play that here coming up in about 10 minutes or so on 580 Sports Talk. Also, we didn't really get to dive into it, just given the timing of it. But the United States isn't in the World Cup anymore. And there have been lots of hot takes coming out of the United States soccer team's loss to Belgium on Monday night in the round of 16 of the World Cup. Lots of hot takes. And I am no fan of Alexi Lawless, Fox's lead American soccer analyst, and I am not alone in this, and I have not made any secret of my revulsion when it comes to Alexi Lawless. He was in a conversation on X, and he posted something that has gone viral and has gotten Alexi Lawless a lot of criticism. And on the one hand, I think the criticism is deserved, but I think there's a broader point that Alexi Lawless is driving at. And I don't know if he seems to think that it's a good thing, but it definitely isn't. And I'm going to get a bit on a youth sports-related soapbox. And I've done that a time or two in my time hosting this show, but I'm going to get back on that soapbox before we wrap things up here today. I want to hear from you on the show. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. That is 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk. One texter, I don't know where this came from. It's kind of out of nowhere, but it's a great text from the 785. Said the United States soccer team hasn't officially lost yet. California is still counting mail-in goals. Now, something got mailed in by Team USA on Monday night. I can tell you that.
Their effort.
It was the entire second half. Anyhow. But text line open, 785-272-9429. Let's get to some headlines, shall we? Because we've got some cool ones today. We're going to start with the news from the NCAA today that the opening round, the expanded opening round of the men's basketball tournament will be coming to Wichita. They have been awarded the hosting rights, along with Dayton, Ohio, for the opening round of the 2027 and 2028 Division I men's basketball championships. Wichita and Dayton both will host 3 games each day on the Tuesday and Wednesday after Selection Sunday. A quote from Keith Gill, he's the chair of the D1 Men's Basketball Committee and the commissioner of the Sun Belt Conference.
Yep.
We were pleased but not surprised by the number of cities from around the country that very much wanted March Madness to begin in their market. Like Dayton, Wichita is a basketball-crazed community that we expect will embrace the reimagined start of the tournament. Having a city in Middle America will be advantageous for getting teams from various points around the country, many of which won't be known until Selection Sunday, to the opening round and subsequently to first-round sites. So, Wichita hosted the first round in last year's tournament, hosted the first and second round. They had previously hosted it in Trust Bank Arena in 2018. That was the first time the tournament had been in Wichita since 1994. Wow. And I was there in 2018. Kansas was the 1 seed in that tournament. That was the year they went to the Final Four. And so myself and Brendan Dworzinski were there that year, and we covered the tournament in Wichita. And Wichita crushed it as a host site. And it wasn't just the novelty of it. I'm a big believer that, and I think this is true for all rounds of the NCAA tournament, but especially the first and the second round, which, like, it's fun to crown a champion, but the time when even the casuals are really the most invested and the tournament feels like the biggest deal is that opening week. Because that's when, everybody's filled out a bracket and all of it.
People are checking out of work and checking into the games.
Right. People are dialed in, right? People are really, really invested in it. And I am of the belief, and I've covered the tournament in non-professional sports markets. Let's call them non-major sports markets. I've been to the tournament in Des Moines. I've been to the tournament in Tulsa. I've been to the tournament in Wichita. I've been to the tournament in Omaha. I've also been as a fan in Denver, which is obviously a major professional sports city. And I can tell you the tournament does better in those markets. They don't have to be Midwestern markets either necessarily for that to be the case. Like Greensboro is a great market. Charleston, South Carolina is great for the tournament. Albany usually does a really good job hosting the tournament. Spokane up in Washington. Putting the tournament in a non-major sports city means it's the biggest thing happening in that city that week, possibly that month, possibly that year. And the locals turn out and host accordingly. So I was not surprised that Wichita did a great job with the tournament when I was there to cover it in 2018. Didn't get down there last year, but again, heard rave reviews. Wichita did a tremendous job with the tournament. It's a great college sports city. And I am excited for Wichita that they will get the chance 2 years ago, I guess, 2025. My mistake. I am excited. I am happy for Wichita, which I've always said is the Dayton, Ohio of Kansas. I've long said that.
I will say we did see the backing of Wichita specifically for basketball last summer for the the basketball
The
tournament.
TBT, yes.
I mean, they made like fans were begging them to open the ticket office so they could buy tickets immediately following a game for the championship. They wanted tickets now.
Yeah. No, it's a great basketball city. It's a great basketball city. And that arena will be full for whoever. The 16-16 game, they'll fill it. They will fill Intrust Bank Arena, much like they fill UD Arena in Dayton for those games. I think it's a great choice by the NCAA. I don't know particularly how competitive that bidding process is going to be when it comes up for bid again for 2029 and 2030, but I am sure that Wichita will do such a great job with this that the NCAA, honestly, would be foolish not to consider Wichita as much a permanent part of the opening week of the tournament as Dayton is. I think they deserve to be on the same playing field. I really, really do. I'm excited for Wichita. I'm excited for them to get to host this opening round, and I really look forward to seeing what Intrust Bank Arena, what that atmosphere is for the opening round of the tournament. Next headline, Spencer.
Yes, a Kansas native is getting honored. He was already in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but now he's getting his number retired by the franchise that he played with in the NFL. Centralia legend, KU All-American John Riggins, to have his number 44 retired by the Washington football franchise. He played for the then Redskins, and he had that iconic moment in Super Bowl 17, I think, versus the Dolphins on 4th and 1. I wasn't alive for this, but he is one of my dad's favorite players of all time. So seeing this was pretty freaking cool.
If you grew up a Red football team Mander fan,
yes,
it's a highlight you've probably seen and know as well as the back of your hand.
And I think this is long overdue. They're in the process with Josh Harris, who obviously took over for begrudged owner Dan Snyder, where he's trying to fix things. And under Dan Snyder, they never had official jersey retirements. They just had if you want to use this number, we'll give you his phone number. You can ask him yourself. They did with Dwayne Haskins, took Joe Theismann's number. But now he will officially have his number retired November 8th against the Rams in Maryland. But yeah, I mean, what he did for the community in Centralia, for Centralia High School, I mean, the dang main road in Centralia is named John Riggins Avenue. I think it just goes to show how much of a figure he was in rural Northeast Kansas.
Yeah, he's an all-timer. He's an all-time, like any discussion of the great athletes to come from the Sunflower State has to include John Riggins. It is incredible that the list of retired numbers for the Washingtons is as short as it is. Yeah, I mean, you think about, like, the Chiefs have retired so many numbers, they're going to struggle to retire many more. Like, they're going to probably 15 and 87 we're never going to see again. But, like, after that, they're going to have to get extra choosy. Like, can they afford to retire 95? They should. But can they?
Can they? Yeah.
They got so many numbers already retired, right?
Yeah, I mean, so Riggins will join Sammy Ball's 33, Bobby Mitchell's 42, I think. Sean Taylor's 21, Sonny Jurgensen, Darryl Green's 28, and Art Monk's 81.
Sonny Jurgensen was 7, right?
I think no.
No? Let's see.
That was Theismann.
Yeah, right.
6?
Let's pull up the
9. 9?
Yeah, 9. 9 is correct.
Yeah.
And 49 for Bobby Mitchell.
Yes, 49, excuse me.
So, yeah, that'll be the 7th number retired by the Washingtons.
But
Yeah,
obviously, what he means to Seneca and Centralia and Lawrence for KU, he's an All-American his final season.
right? Has his name on the Ring of Honor there.
Yeah, so another thing to list of how important John Riggins is to the fabric of football and for the Washington franchise. So he was already in their Ring of Fame. I think that came in the late 80s, early 90s. He showed up full gear, ran out from underneath, full gear, ready to run out there again, helmet in tow. I don't know if you ever heard about this.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so when he had his name in the Ring of Honor on the stadium back in the 80s or 90s, yeah, he came out full gear.
No kidding.
Cleats, pants, shoulder pads, jersey, helmet. And he was ready to go again.
My favorite John Riggins story is the time he got hammered at the Washington Club dinner and told Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, "Loosen up, Sandy, baby. You're too tight. Loosen up."
So I texted my dad about this today, and I told him that, so if you want to go look, I put a story up on 580WIW.com just about what he meant to Centralia and Seneca and KU and everything. I texted my dad, and he said, you could write about your dad's encounter at PJ Skidoo's with him at a later date. So I'm going to have to get the intel from my dad about what happened when he saw John Riggins at a restaurant in the D.C. area.
Next headline for me, we are in the progress of the various summer leagues for the NBA and tryout opportunities for players who are looking to make a 15-man roster. That includes 3 former K-State men's basketball players who will participate in the summer league starting Thursday tonight and running through Sunday in Las Vegas, running through next Sunday, the 19th. Those 3 players, Marquise Noel, Coleman Hawkins, and Nate Johnson. Noel will suit up for the New Orleans Pelicans. He played in Spanish Liga ACB and the Euro League last season, has previously appeared in 46 career G League games over 2 years. He'll get a look with the Pelicans this summer. Coleman Hawkins will suit up for the Denver Nuggets. He played for their G League team last year, the Grand Rapids Gold in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He played 35 games, averaged about 9 points, 8 rebounds, and close to 7 assists per contest. Nate Johnson getting his first opportunity in the Vegas Summer League. He played in 3 games last week at the Salt Lake City Summer League with the Oklahoma City Thunder team, and he'll suit up for the Thunder team in the NBA Vegas Summer League as well.
So he's not listed because he transferred from K-State, but Ugana Onyensu has 2 points in 6 minutes for the Pistons.
Yes, he was drafted by the Pistons.
Yes, with 5:15 to go in the second quarter.
Yeah, game's already rolling out there in Vegas today.
Hunter Dickinson scored 12.
Yeah, Noel had 20. Yeah, Noel had 20 with 6 assists and 5 steals for the Pelicans in a 105-92 loss to Minnesota earlier today. They had no answers for Yohan Behringer, 18 points, 12 rebounds. Anyhow, so yeah, Summer League, couple of handful of former K-State Wildcats participating, and as you mentioned, obviously some former Jayhawks as well, but they didn't send me a press release, and K-State did, so there you go. Next headline, Spencer.
Yes, next headline for me, a pretty cool thing happening at Allen Fieldhouse a couple times this year. Kansas volleyball, they're going to return to historic Allen Fieldhouse to host a pair of Big 12 matchups. First one on Sunday, October 18th, they're going to host Arizona State. And then Friday, October 30th, the Sunflower Showdown against K-State inside Allen Fieldhouse. Should be pretty cool. They used to play in there for 20-some odd years until they went to the Horja Family Volleyball Arena that was renovated and unveiled in 2019, I believe, as the official volleyball.
Just goes to show you how much the audience for volleyball is growing, because you're not going to go play games in there just for the sake of it. You're going to go play games in there because you can make a good atmosphere out of it, because you can sell some tickets for it. And it's just, I think, further proof of the growing audience for and appetite for college volleyball. And that's at Kansas. That's really everywhere. And it's really cool to see.
What did we see was it Nebraska or Iowa? Didn't they have an outdoor volleyball match?
Nebraska did.
That first one might be during like homecoming weekend or something.
Oh wow.
That's Sunday, October 18th. I don't know. I guess it's the day after.
Gotcha.
It's the day after the Sunflower Showdown in Manhattan.
One more quick headline from professional sports to sneak in before the World Cup roundup. Bryce Harper announcing today that he will participate in the 2026 Home Run Derby. Harper becomes, I think, the 4th known participant. Obviously, Jack Caglione of the Royals is in. So is Ben Rice of the Yankees, Junior Caminero of the Rays. Who did I miss?
Wilson Contreras?
Wilson Contreras is in too? Okay. Wilson Contreras from the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So 5 known participants. Harper has already won a home run derby in 2018 at his home park, at his then home park of Nationals Park. He'll try and do it at his now home park of Citizens Bank Park.
I'll be interested to see who's throwing him pitches, because he was on somewhere and said that he would consider doing it if he found somebody to throw for him.
I thought his dad
because
threw to
his
him.
dad hasn't thrown in years. So he doesn't want to make him rusty.
Don't want to take dad out of retirement.
Well, and I mean, it doesn't help you if you're, throwing a rusty guy out there.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't. All right, let's get to the World Cup roundup to wrap up headlines.
Open wide for some soccer!
The quarterfinals are underway, and France continue to look inevitable. Pair of second-half goals for the French in a win over Morocco this afternoon, 2-0. Kylian Mbappe and Ousmane Dembélé scoring second-half goals as France moves to the semifinals for a third straight World Cup. Mbappe did leave the match with an ankle injury late. He had ice on his right ankle. Hopefully that will not keep him from participating further in this year's World Cup. Next match will come your way tomorrow at 2 o'clock between Spain and Belgium, with the winner of that one getting the pleasure, if you want to call it that, of taking on that tremendous French machine in the semifinals. That's your World Cup roundup. Those are your 580 Sports Talk headlines. When we come back, my Big 12 Football Media Days conversation with Brian Dubiski, the chairman and CEO of the Union Jack Classic, on 580 Sports Talk. .33 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer hanging out with you in studio on this Thursday after I spent the last 2 days down at the Star in Frisco, Texas, right on the goal line. I was on the front row of Media Row now. It used to be Radio Row. Now it's like radio/podcast row. They just call it Media Row at the Super Bowl now. Anyway, it's 3 rows deep. And we were all in the south end zone. South end zone? I think it's south end zone. And I was on the front row, right on the lip of the goal line for 2 days, hanging out down there, talking to Kansas State folks, and other people who popped by the table. One of those people was Brian Dubiski, the chairman and CEO of the Union Jack Classic, first ever playing of which is coming up September 19th, Kansas and Arizona State. Wanted to pick Brian's brain about how this all came to be. So here's that conversation from Big 12 Football Media Days in Texas.
Joined at Big 12 Football Media Days at the Star in Frisco, Texas, by Brian Dubiski, the chairman and CEO of the Union Jack Classic, which coming up this season will be the first ever college football game played at historic Wembley Stadium in London between the Kansas Jayhawks and the Arizona State Sun Devils. And first question for you, Brian, obviously, what planted the seed? What was the start of the idea? What grew the idea of, we want to play a college football game at Wembley Stadium?
Gosh, I would have to say probably a couple of pints of beer at the pub.
Hey, listen, a lot of good ideas have come from those, right?
No, I think the passion behind it is I'm a former Division I football player at Texas Tech. My partner played football at TCU. We're big fans of Big 12, big fans of college football, and have done some supplemental work with the NFL UK. On the games over in London that they have been doing now for several decades, actually, and just kept questioning ourselves over a handful of years of why no one has taken college football across the pond. There's a game in Ireland which has been really very nicely successful, and so we just decided to finally go for it. And so, wanting to spread that enthusiasm, that spirit, that sort of tribalism of what college football fan base is about, and then also the game itself, differentiating from the NFL and how those games operate and are played with just the passion. College is different, and so we wanted to share that with the world, and so the opportunity came up, which is really difficult to navigate anywhere in the European nations in the UK, just based off European football. I mean, soccer takes over all the stadiums. The dates are extremely hard to come by, and we were lucky enough to slide into week 3 at the iconic Wembley Stadium, which we were thrilled about just because it's Wembley Stadium, and I get goosebumps every time I go over. And so we were able to solidify a multi-year deal with them, and so we'll be taking college football over there and sharing it with the world starting September 19th of this year.
Brett Yormark, commissioner of the Big 12, has said his desire is to be the most globally relevant college sports conference, and he's done a lot in trying to expand the brand of the Big 12 overseas. You mentioned the game in England that Big 12 team's been a part of. It was a Big 12 conference game last year between Kansas State and Iowa State. What was the level of Brett Yormark's involvement in making sure that if you were going to have a game in London, it was going to be a Big 12 football game? How important was that to Brett Yormark?
I think he was always the leader, right? He's got a global vision, and sport and music, we always say, transcends the world, right? It brings the world together. And so, he understands taking his brand across the pond and other parts of the European nations, possibly, Japan. I played in a game in Japan years ago when I played at Texas Tech. Australia has been on the table and has a game in the past, and so I think his vision to expand the brand, he really drove the train. He is dedicated to it. He gets differentiating the Big 12 conference in a way that is leading that global charge, and eventually there's going to be a lot of network television, multimedia rights and things like that are going to be entrenched in this as the games and the sports of American college, sports overall are expanded and globalized. And so it's going to be a big part of, I think, the business model moving forward.
Brian Dubiski is the chairman and the CEO of the Union Jack Classic, which will mark its first playing September 19th when Kansas plays Arizona State at Wembley Stadium, joining us from Big 12 Football Media Days in Frisco, Texas. Well, we've established why London and why Wembley.
Right.
And we've established why the Big 12. Why Kansas and Arizona State? What made those two schools, maybe those two fan bases, sort of the right fit at the right time for the right venue?
You needed two visionaries, again, that have the passion to grow their brand and really give their student athletes an experience. Really, the tie-in on top of all that was Arizona State is actually opening a campus in London, Arizona State, London campus. that opens, I think, the same month as our game, and so it aligned with their overall institutional and athletic vision. And then University of Kansas, which has been playing football for over 100 years. I think that's a little known fact that people don't realize, because a lot of times they're pegged as a basketball school, but they've always had a good competitive football team, and they're growing that brand. And so they were doing a full stadium renovation. So now all of a sudden you've got Mr. Booth putting a lot of money into the Kansas program with his name on the new stadium, which is going to be amazing and dynamic. But there was going to be construction going on. There were going to be limitations to even how many people could come and attend the game, and it was just a good segue for them to choose a year to really take a home game across the pond. So technically in this game, Kansas is the home team.
Obviously, there's a uniqueness to playing a game in a different country, certainly different city, absolutely, but different country. Certainly, you have that uniqueness of it that is going to be special and set it apart for not just the participants, but the fans who make the trip over to see this game. What else about this experience? How does what is the Union Jack Classic's role, your role as the chairman and CEO of the game, to create that experience for the student athletes and for the fans who will be making that trip, maybe for many of them, their first time to see London and see Wembley Stadium and see this football game?
Sure. It was important to us to give the athletes the experience. So, we have several events lined up for them, excursions, making sure that they're going to get to see all the landmarks, the famous landmarks that you hear about in London all the time, from the Palace to the Tower Bridge to Big Ben, and really getting to experience the culture overall. And that was really important to us from the team standpoint. From a fan base standpoint, there were two prongs. One is entertaining the big alumni groups and fans coming across the pond to give them a really cool experience, which, no help needed. It's London, right? It's an amazing city. And for the fans that are local to the UK and other parts of Europe, our goal in our education process was we are picking up college football, the Americana part of that, and putting it in London. So fan fest, fan zones, tailgating, to really get that real experience like we all take for granted over here, right? College game days are generational at a lot of these universities, and so we're very excited to provide that experience for both the team and the fans.
A couple more questions for the chairman and CEO of the Union Jack Classic, Brian Dubiski, here on 580 Sports Talk, joining us from Big 12 Football Media Days at the Star in Frisco, Texas. There's attendance numbers, there's TV ratings, there's actual cold hard cash involved in defining what makes an event like this a success. Yep. But beyond that, beyond something that you can quantify, what would make, particularly this first playing, because of the involvement of Kansas and Arizona State in the Big 12, what would make the first playing of the Union Jack Classic a success that would then lay the groundwork for future iterations of the event?
I think the experience again, right? We want the teams and the coaches and their families and the athletic directors and the chancellors. We want everyone to come back and talk about what an amazing event it was, an amazing experience. We're right now also aligning a lot of our entertainment assets around this game, so we'll be making those announcements soon. And it is just going to be an amazing experience overall. We want everyone to walk away from this game and say, what a great game, what a great experience. And we want to continue to grow American college football across the UK. There are over 100 universities in the UK that actually play American football as curriculum. So, there's a fan base there, and it is growing as a sport. And flag football is helping that as well. Now that it's an Olympic sport, all of these other nations around the world are beginning to really get engaged with American football.
And the last thing I have to ask you, Brian, as you mentioned at the very start of this conversation, you are a former Texas Tech Red Raider, so I have to ask, are the Red Raiders going to repeat in the Big 12 this year?
Am I allowed to answer this question?
You certainly are. Your permission to speak freely.
Listen, it's going to be Texas Tech all the way. I believe it'll be a competitive year. Texas Tech, is now pegged kind of the villain, right, with the experiences that have just happened here.
How wild is that for you to experience as a player in the program who, maybe remembers that, there's been ups and downs in the program's history, certainly.
Yeah, listen, it's fun to watch our team be really, really competitive.
Sure.
And get over that hump of when I played mediocrity, right? I mean, a good year was 500. A really good year was 8-3. I think was the best year we had when I was there, and we won our bowl game. But the consistency of that over the years and being now really competitive in a space that when we wake up every day we expect to win, really, no matter who we play, which is important. And listen. Coach Leipold has that same attitude and integrity as well as Coach Dillingham does. So, the Big 12 is a very competitive conference, and I'm excited to watch it all go down this year.
Brian Dubiski is the chairman and the CEO of the Union Jack Classic, September 19th, KU, Arizona State, from the iconic, historic, whatever you want to attach to it, Wembley Stadium in London. Brian, all the best with this first of many, we hope, of the Union Jack Classic, and thanks for taking the time to spend with us.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
That was Brian Dubiski. Really enjoyed the conversation with the former Texas Tech defensive back, class of 92. So his senior year would have been 1991. The year he was referencing, 1989, under Spike Dykes. They went 9-3, and they beat Duke in the All-American Bowl that year.
I think it's pretty cool that, one, he's been attached to the groups that have helped the NFL go overseas. So it's like a genuine thing of trying to get games there from bring the culture over from him. I don't know if he resides in London.
I don't believe so.
But he obviously said he worked with the NFL London and all that stuff. So I think that's pretty cool. What you say about the game is what you say. Going overseas is whatever it is. But I do think it's cool that other countries are game for us, for what we do here specifically so well in the States.
Well, we're going to take a time out here at 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, I have a thought about youth sports that the United States losing in the World Cup sparked in me, and I haven't had a chance to get to it, but now I do, and we'll get there next on 580 Sports Talk. .548 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer with you. Round and third heading for home on this Thursday edition. So the United States is out of the World Cup. They're playing the quarterfinals. France, first team into the semifinals. It was Monday night. Talked a little bit about it on Tuesday during headlines. I didn't get to see the match live. I caught a good chunk of the replay. I caught enough of the replay. I felt like I could speak fairly honestly about that display by Team USA in their 4-1 loss to Belgium. And inspired by all of that, everybody's got a take. And one of the takes that I generally agree to be true is that unlike other soccer nations, we restrict, without maybe ever having meant to do it intentionally, the participation in youth soccer is restricted in a way that it isn't in other countries. We are the only country in the world where soccer is a country club sport. We're the only ones. We are the only ones where soccer, competitive soccer at all levels, is the domain of the upper middle class.
Yeah.
We're the only ones. It's just us. And there's a discussion that you could have about, okay, does that create like players who are hungry, who have desire, or does that just create a bunch of kids who are, maybe athletic, but they're really overcoached? And I think that's a far more fascinating topic that I think people more knowledgeable about soccer could maybe speak to. But I do think that does, when you limit the ability to participate, you're going to limit the talent pool. So, yes, do the United States have better soccer players now than we've ever had before? Yes. Do we have enough of them? No, we still don't. We still have enough of them. And that's going to continue to be the problem whenever you run into the elite European or South American or even the elite African nations. But there's a whole conversation about this going on social media. And, of course, that meant Alexi Lawless, Fox soccer analyst, former United States men's national team member, had to weigh in. And this is what he wrote. He was in conversation with, I think it was Clay Travis on X. Boy, you talk about a meeting of the minds there. Anyway, youth soccer, writes Alexi Lawless, youth sports, in parentheses, is a competitive market with businesses selling a product that obviously customers are willing to pay for. I'd love if soccer was free to all, but who's going to pay for all this free soccer? And Alexi's getting dunked on left and right for that take because it is not a great take. And the part that's getting attention, well, who's going to pay for all this free soccer? Like, we should be subsidizing affordable youth sports programs in all communities. Those should be subsidized to some level by somebody because, like, the barrier to participation should not be you need X amount of dollars to get on the right team who plays in the right tournaments, and you're playing kids in other states. Like, I didn't grow up in this. Like, I'm old enough that my options to play youth baseball, youth sports, were all through the city where I grew up, Aurora, Colorado. I played park and rec basketball. I played park and rec soccer. I played Little League baseball. The whole travel ball industrial complex is a relatively new one. And
that was, like, I grew into that.
Yeah.
Like, I started playing
too.
And there wasn't really it wasn't like that big of a thing. And then by the time I was in middle school and high school, if you played rec league or you played a house league, you weren't that, but if you play on a travel ball team, like, oh, you're going to be somebody.
And that's the perception, right, as well. If you're playing on the travel ball team, you must be of advanced ability levels. Nah, man, your parents just have money.
Yeah.
That's all that means. Is your parents have the means to put you on a team like that.
I've talked about how I was a concession stand and a manager at a soccer park. This was a private soccer park through the local soccer organization. All of their funds came from everything they did. Like, everything was expensive. They had their league teams, and you could join it. They gave scholarships out and everything, but that whole park was funded by the fees. All the fees that you pay and everything was how they put turf down on 3 different fields and how they maintenance that turf and everything like that. It wasn't county funded at all.
So the part of this that I take the exception to is the beginning, where Alexi Lawless says youth sports, he's talking about soccer specifically, but he means sports in general, is a competitive market with businesses selling a product that obviously customers are willing to pay for. And no value judgment as to whether or not that's good, because it's not. That's bad for long-term sports participation if you are saying the only way that you get access to certain sports or certain levels of sport is your parents have money. Or do you have enough money to pay the thousands of dollars to put your kid on the right team and send them to the right camps instead of them just going out and playing rec ball for a couple years, figuring out how to compete, how to play, not to be coached, not to be trained. You don't need to have the right coach when you're 8 years old. That's nonsense. You don't need to have the right coach when you're 9 years old. You just need to learn, like, the basics of the basics. And anybody with a book can know the basics of the basics. Now, by the time you get to high school or a little before, yes, you need that kind of training that's going to take you to the next level. But we got to teach our kids to play, and we got to allow our kids to play. And this thing that is the travel sports, youth sports industrial complex, it did not come from nowhere. It just was that way one day. And we can collectively decide, both as, parents of kids getting into sports, but also like communities who want to give our kids opportunities to play sports, no matter what tax bracket their parents resides in. We can decide that it doesn't have to be this way. And we can pay for this free soccer. Like, it doesn't have to be free, but it also doesn't have to cost thousands upon thousands of dollars. And yes, I do think that the country club culture of American soccer is why we lose to all those European countries. I do think that's a big part of it. We'll take one last short break, come back with a final word right after this. Final word time here on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuis, lead us off.
Yeah, kind of going back to what I talked about in the headlines about John Riggins. Man, thank you, Josh Harris, for righting all the wrongs that Dan Snyder did to that organization. Not all of them can be righted. You can't. I don't think you can go back to the former name. But man, you can put players in and have honors for players that should have been honored a long time ago. And John Riggins having his number 44 retired this year is huge. I just think that anything that you can do to bring players back, then they're not a pawn for the organization, is great. And he is somebody who had a lot of odds against this organization in the last 20 years. So shout out to Josh Harris.
Final word for me today, and I'm going to expand on this on tomorrow's 580 Sports Talk. I don't know that the texter from the 785 who led off the show, who suggested that the Royals should go and try and get Angels starting pitcher Reed Detmers, intended to inspire me to think this way. But I'm fascinated at the thought of, if the Royals need to rebuild their pitching staff for the future, particularly with a look at the bullpen, maybe they could be buyers at the deadline. And not necessarily buyers with an eye on 2026, but they're going to have to stockpile pitching. And unfortunately for them, that means they kind of have to keep Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo. But could it mean they could take some opportunities elsewhere to add some pitching from sellers at the deadline? It's actually not that crazy an idea. We'll be back tomorrow from 3 to 5:30. For Spencer, I'm Dan. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.